Good day, collectors and viewers. Social Distance Warrior is back, and today we're going to look at Boba Fett's dad, Jango Fett. So Jango Fett made his debut back in Attack of the Clones, which was the second prequel movie after Episode 1. George Lucas gave us an origin to Boba Fett. So we got to see Boba Fett as a child, as a kid, and we got to see his dad, who was the top bounty hunter in the galaxy and the specimen for what would be all of the clone troopers that would happen in the Clone Wars and later obviously become stormtroopers and get phased out. But Jango Fett was that recipient. So we would get a Jango Fett figure, of course, right when Attack of the Clones was about to come premiere. It was the tail end of the Power of the Jedi line. So we get a sneak preview version of 4 characters, and Jango Fett was one of them. And in true Power of the Jedi style, everything was pre-posed. So that's this Jango Fett over here. Now we can see that the sculpt is very good. You can see how far Hasbro has come with their sculpting on the action figures. And he's got a really nice shiny silver and blue, and he's distinct looking from Boba Fett. He's got much cleaner armor than the Boba Fett that we're used to seeing in the obviously original trilogy movies. This one comes pre-posed. He has some articulation. We're going to look at that right now. And like a lot of figures that were in the line at the time, as they phased over into the Star Wars Saga line, they got accessories that they could add onto the weapons, which was pretty neat. Some of them were neat. Some of them were cool. You can attach to the blasters. You can attach to the lightsabers, etc. And this is Jango Fett. So let's have a look at the blaster in his hand there. We'll take that out. As you can see, it's a very good sculpt of his blaster from the movie. It's got little hollow parts that are coming across it. Considering how tiny it is, you can see it's almost the size of my fingernail. It's an amazing accessory, and it's got this little firing item on the front there that comes off, and it just attaches to the front of the gun. It's got that for both guns, and it gives it a nice realistic look to it. So he's got 2 of those in his hands. And of course, Jango himself, without holding a blaster, he doesn't look very appealing. It looks like he's about to, strangle somebody, but that's the pose that we got him in for the preview line. So as far as articulation, you can turn his head side to side. Mine's a little stiff there, but he can turn side to side. He does have his viewfinder that's on top of his head there. That does come forward, which is neat. Nice little addition there to the figure. Arms go up and down, so we can move his arms up and down there just so we can see what that figure looks like. Okay, you can see that he does move side to side as well, so he does have that side to side at the waist. The armor is nice and detailed there. You can see there's weathering on it, there's scuff marks, scratches, so they've got a nice appearance on the character, and he's got a nice sculpt as well. We'll lift his arms up there just so we can see what he looks like underneath here. He's got his belt. He does have 2 sculpted holsters. They're not working holsters, but they're on his pant legs there, on his thighs. Articulation at the leg, they got a little bit there. You can go back and forth, but nothing at the knee, and then nothing at the foot over here. He's in an action pose. As far as the figure underneath, you can see he's got his peg holes as well. So he's got that standard stuff as all the Star Wars figures do, so you can stand them on a stand. And then, of course, we can turn them to the side over here to have a look at him. Okay, and then we'll turn around to the back, and you can see that he's got his jetpack on there. The jetpack's fully painted, so they did not hold back when it came to paint operations on this guy. We'll just take that jetpack off to look at it in detail. So that's the jetpack that we'd see, one of 2 of them that he's got in the movie. This is the jetpack with the rocket launcher on top. He's got nice little rockets here on the bottom. Okay, you can see it's nicely painted, detailed, and it's got a little peg there that attaches into his back to hold on to Jango Fett. Now, those little firing mechanisms on the end, you can actually attach these to the bottom of the jetpack as well and have Jango flying. I usually have them on the front of my gun, but it's a nice little feature. And this is not a deluxe figure. This is a regular figure. Nowadays, this would be considered a deluxe figure. So you can see how nice that looks on the back of his jetpack. So you can have him flying. As far as Jango without the jetpack here on the back, you can see he's got the little peg hole on his back there. And again, fully painted, fully articulated. In 5 points of articulation, of course. So we'll slip that jetpack back on. Okay, so you can see what he looks like with the firing rockets there. It's a nice little feature on that Jango Fett. So that's the very first Jango Fett we get in 2002. So the next Jango Fett figure we get is right when the movie comes out. We get a Star Wars Saga Camino Escape version. And of course, they've changed the branding on the Star Wars figures now. They have a new backdrop card back. They've gone away from Power of the Jedi, and now it's Star Wars Saga. They've united the line again under one logo, under one card back. It was interesting. So with the Episode 2 figures, I was waiting to see if they're going to have a midnight release like they did with Episode 1. That didn't happen with Episode 2. I think retailers got stuck with a lot of merchandise after Episode 1, and then when the second one came out, they kind of stayed away. So I was still able to get some stuff from the Toys R Us on the day of release, but there was no midnight release over here in Canada. I had to go the next morning and then fight with everybody else to try and get some new merchandise, and Jango Fett was one of them. So this is the Camino Escape version of Jango. Now, again, a new figure. Not the same as that original previews one. It's got a lot more features on him this time. So he does have, articulation with his arms. Of course, he's coming with his standard blasters. Get a nice close-up there of his head, his helmet. The paint job is a lot nicer on this one, a lot cleaner. Okay, as far as that viewfinder, it doesn't come down here. It's fixed in that position, but it's like that for a reason, because this time the helmet comes off. So we got Jango with a removable helmet, which is neat. That's the first time that's happened. We never even had that with Boba Fett at the time. And we'll bring that close just to show you what that paint job and sculpt looks like on Tamora Morrison. Now, of course, we've gotten a lot better over the years, but you can see it's still a very good action figure. He's got, scars on his face. He's got facial hair. A lot went into this little 3¾ inch figure. I like this figure a lot for that reason. He does have the weathering on the armor there as well. He does have articulation on his head. You can go side to side. So you have him without his helmet on. His arms, of course, go up and down. Okay. You will notice on his arms that he does have articulation there at the elbows as well, so they can sway side to side. Both sides can do that. Okay. At the waist, of course, that's a standard feature now on these action figures. And of course, his legs go up and down. Okay, now we'll look at a few more extra features on this character here. He does have his blasters in hand, so we're going to take that blaster out just to look at it. It's identical to the one that was released in the preview figure, but now we got a working holster, so we can look under there. We can see we got a working holster on Jango, and we can put his blasters away if we want to in the pouch there. And I love that. It's such a cool feature to have on these figures. We've been wanting that for years. We initially got it with a Scout Trooper, and now we're starting to get it on all the other action figures as well. So we can get both of his pistols, guns inside his holsters there, and have him without them in hand. So not much you can do with his arms there because they just sway side to side. But this arm here has got a nice little grappling hook as well. The one that he tried to capture Obi-Wan with when they had a battle on Camino. And that just hooks onto the bottom there. Just going to pull that off for one sec. I have the back part of that rope attached to the back of the jetpack just so it's not in the way. So we're just going to take that off for a second to show you. And so that comes out all the way here, and you can attach that grappling hook. You can wrap around Obi-Wan. It's got a nice little clip on the front there where you can attach it to a bar or a pole or something as well to have him pull him in. So that just pulls in on the back of his arm there. And then if you want to store that away, that just clips right on the end there. And then, of course, you can just tie that rope right around the back on the jetpack there, so it's not in the way. As far as peg holes, he's got that on the bottom of his feet here. Okay, on this arm here, he does have his, rocket painted on there. That's what he looks like from the side. Okay, we'll turn around to the back, and we'll see that he's got his jetpack on here as well. We're going to remove that jetpack just to have a look at him without it as well. You can see that he's got the little peg hole there on the back for the jetpack. And now the jetpack's very similar to the one that came with the preview one, except it doesn't have the little pegs here on the bottom to attach the fire to the bottom of that. But they do turn side to side, so there's articulation on those rockets, which is neat for such a small accessory. There's another cool accessory to this guy here. that rocket comes out. So we can pull the rocket out. It doesn't shoot out, but it does come out. So you can remove this rocket from the back and fire it at Obi-Wan or anybody else that gets in Jango's way. And you can see that's what it looks like in there. But it also does come with a longer version rocket. This guy over here. And of course it's long there just so that it's not a choking hazard, but that does go into the backpack here. Into the jetpack, sorry. And it clips right in. So when it's in, you can see that this part protrudes out and it comes out of the bottom. And then if you hit this mechanism forward here, it's going to shoot out. So let's see if I can get that to work. Straight up in the back there. So nice little shooting mechanism for Jango as well. We'll put his standard missile back in there. Okay, and then as far as the figure itself, he does have that rope that you can't remove that. It's got a little knot on the end. You'd have to take the knot off to take it off of his arm, but it's designed to come off, come forward, and then just pull back, and you can store it away the way you like. So that's Jango Fett that we got with the Camino escape. Let's get his helmet. So soon after, we get another release of Jango Fett because, of course, he was all the rave in episode 2, and we couldn't get enough of Mandalorians. We finally had somebody other than Boba Fett that was a Mandalorian action figure form. And we'd also get a deluxe version of Jango Fett. This one would be with electronic backpack. So that's this guy over here. Again, like a lot of the figures of the time, pre-sculpted in an action pose. He doesn't have as much going on for him as that Camino escape, which is, in my opinion, a better version. But still, he's got some extra features on here that make him worthwhile. So first off, he's got this giant jetpack on the back, and of course you'll notice that it's the opposite, the other jetpack that he wore in the movie when he was flying around. After he finished with Obi-Wan, he needed another jetpack, so this is the one that he was wearing when he was on Geonosis as well. I have him here with the blasters in hand. Of course, his head's articulated, so that does move side to side. He does have his view. So he does have his viewfinder there. It does kind of come down. Not really. It doesn't, not really as articulated. It's kind of meant to stay in that position. Head goes side to side. Okay. Arms, of course, do have that articulation at the elbow. We can go side to side there as well. And up and down. Both sides. He does have his blasters in hand again. Those pistols. We can remove those out of his hands. It's exactly the same ones. He does have no articulation turning side to side. He's fixed there, mainly because he's pre-posed for that jetpack feature. Now, he does have something really cool going for him here. He's got removable armor. So his legs aren't articulated. Just wanted to show you that. But he does have foot pegs underneath. But we can take off his gauntlets here on the wrists. Just take that off to show you. And they were removable right out of the package. You got to assemble them. So you got to dress your Jango Fett when you first got him. So that's what he looks like without them. And of course, this chest piece here comes off as well. So he looks really strange without it. Looks like an imposter. Had he been red, it looked more like the character there from The Mandalorian, Cobb Vanth. Well, his name eluded me. That's kind of what he looked like when he was wearing the Boba Fett armor on. So again, legs are fixed. The holsters on the legs here, they're not working. You can't put blasters in. They're just sculpted on there. That's what he looks like from the side. So he kind of looks a little bit silly with that big jetpack, and that's what he looks like from the back. But of course, it's got the action feature with the batteries in it. And let's see if mine still works after 20 plus years. If you push that, there's a button right here on the top. Lo and behold, it still works. And then if you hold the button down, you have the flying sound on there as well. So pretty neat. You know, it is removable, so it does come off as well. He looks very strange without it. It's got a big indent in the back there where it sits. And of course, that's what it looks like on the back. And initially with some of these figures, they had little attachments there, little compartments where you can take out the screw and change the batteries. So that's a nice little feature there. And I probably should. It's probably going to leak at some point, but you can see mine still works, and that attaches to the back. So that's Jango Fett from the Deluxe set with the electronic backpack. So we get yet another Jango Fett towards the end of 2002. This one titled Final Battle. So that's this guy over here. And again, he intentionally came out a little bit later so he wouldn't spoil part of the movie that he comes with over here. And again, another nice Jango Fett. This one comes again with different accessories. You can see he has his rocket or flamethrower on one arm there. It's kind of like a rocket because you pull it back. It's got a spring mechanism in there, and if you pull that back and release, it shoots out. So he does have that rocket. He's got his pistols in hands here as well. We're going to remove those pistols just to show you what the character looks like. So you can see he does have articulation on the arms going up and down. He does have articulation here at the wrists. That's a nice new feature on the figures. Over here, he's got this pre-sculpted mechanism for his arm where you stick the rocket or flamethrower inside. And there's some articulation on that other arm as well there. And it does go up and down. As far as the head, it does turn side to side. We'll show you the little special feature on it in a second. The viewfinder does come down on this guy, surprisingly, which is awesome. So you have that option with him. He does turn at the waist. And down here on his legs as well, they are articulated. They go back up, back and forth, up and back, down. As far as the knee, we have some knee articulation for the first time, which is awesome. So he does have a little peg in there. It's a little bit of a weird design, but it does bend. It looks strange when you bend it, but you do have some articulation there. Nothing at the ankles yet over here, and his leg is kind of pre-posed to stand in an action stance. As far as the other one here, same thing. It does have articulation there at the knee, so you can bend it back and forth. And again, nothing here at the ankle, but if we turn him up, you can see he does have his peg holes in his feet there. So that's what he looks like from the front, and you can see that he does have his scarring there, scuffing on his armor as well. And you can see it's a brand new sculpt. It's different from the other ones, previous ones. And that's what Jango looks like from the side. And then that's what he looks like from the back. And you'll notice that for the first time we have him with the proper size jetpack from the Geonesis scene. So he's got that on there. That is removable as well. We can take that off just to show you. Let's put Jango down for a second. We can take it, bring it up close so we can look at it in detail. So that's his jetpack. And that clips on right on the back. Stays on there, positioned. Now, the big feature with this guy here is he's called Final Battle. So what happens in the final battle? Well, he has a final battle with Mace Windu, and it doesn't end well. Jango loses his head, literally. So his head is removable. It's on a magnet, which is awesome for this figure. So it comes off easily. It's not a peg where it gets in the way. You have to pull it off. You could actually do action features with a lot of these figures. So you can see the magnet in the top part of his neck, head there, just under or on the shoulders. And then, of course, in his head as well. And that just sticks right on there and comes off, which is neat. Now, let's bring his head up close just so you can see it. With the viewfinder, he does have his little dent here on the top as well. Nice paint job on the head all the way around. They didn't cheap out on that. And of course, the viewfinder does come down, which is a nice added feature on Jango. But there he is. You can reenact that scene where Boba holds his head in the arena, and it's on a magnet. And the magnet was a feature that a lot of these characters from the Star Wars saga line had. They had like force effects. There's also a Tusken Raider with a removable head. So same thing, Jango Fett has that same feature. So that's our Final Battle Jango from 2002 saga line. So we get one more Jango Fett towards the tail end of 2002 and beginning of 2003. We get another one called the Slave One Pilot, also on the Star Wars saga line. That's this one over here. And this one to this day is the one that flies my Slave One fire spray that Jango Fett has. And now, and this one here is a little bit different too, because he's got a head sculpt that's got the pilot apparatus or the headgear that he's wearing when he's flying Slave One and he's chasing Obi-Wan when he's got Boba beside him. That's what he's got on his head there. So it's, again, another brand new figure, and it stood out for that reason and definitely made him desirable to pick up. So he's got a really nice head sculpt there. The apparatus is sculpted on, does not come off, but you can see he's got articulation on his head. You can turn him side to side. As far as his arms, they do go up and down slightly, but you can see they kind of fall back down because they're on an action feature, which we're going to look at in a sec. He does turn side to side at the waist there. So again, standard stuff for the Star Wars saga stuff line. He does have a working holster, so we can see that in there as well on his pant leg. His legs do come up. Both of them have holsters. For Jango, he's a really nice sculpt. He's standing in a action pose like he's about to have a showdown, shootout with somebody. Underneath there, he's got his foot pegs in, and that's what he looks like from the side. And then you'll notice here, that's what he looks like from the back as well. And then he's got that blue jetpack on there as well, the smaller one on his back. And we'll notice here he doesn't have a silver missile on top, but what looks like a blue button, which we'll look at in 1 second. And then that's what it looks like from the other side. Now, that jetpack is not removable. It's fixed on there, and that's because it's part of the action gimmick with this guy. If you push that rocket down on the back there while you're holding him, Jango is going to do quick draw you at the front there. So Slave 1 pilot Jango Fett, he can jump into battle and take anybody out, and it's a nice little action feature and works well. It doesn't cause any problems. It doesn't get in the way, but you're kind of restricted just to do that one pose. But he looks amazing sitting in your Slave 1, flying it behind the window. He's definitely a perfect figure for that. And the paint job is awesome on him. It's painted really well. His eyes are painted well. The quality control was really good on these guys. So that's the Jango Fett that we got as towards the tail end of 2002-03 as part of the Star Wars saga line called Slave 1 Pilot. So the next Jango Fett we'd get would also be in 2003, part of the Star Wars saga line. This would be a deluxe version called Camino Showdown. So this was a 2-piece set. One came with Jango Fett and a piece of the tower where he was fighting outside with Obi-Wan before he was trying to escape in the Slave 1. And Obi-Wan came with another piece of the tower. And we'll throw a picture up of Jango. And Jango basically had magnets in his arms where he could stick to this tower when he was fighting Obi-Wan and then shot the rocket off of his jetpack off the back. So that's supposed to be that battle scene there. I don't have it. Again, we'll throw a picture up. We'll have a look at it there. Worth mentioning. He's basically a Kit Bash figure, but still worth mentioning. So the next time we'd see Jango would be 5 years later, this time in 2008 as part of the anniversary collection. Hasbro made a number of evolution sets. There was one with Anakin to Darth Vader. There was one with the Clone Troopers to Stormtrooper. And then there was another one with the Fett Legacy. So that Fett Legacy came with a brand new Jango Fett. So here we have the evolution set Jango Fett. So we have a brand new sculpt. What is almost an ultimate sculpt of Jango Fett. I absolutely love this figure. I even love the deep purple. I know maybe the deep purple is not really movie accurate because it wasn't that purple, but it just makes for a very interesting action figure. So you can see Jango Fett is ready to quick draw there. He's got his arms behind his working holsters, and this time the holsters are separate from the pant legs, so they're not interfering with the leg moving up and down, and they're actually part of the belt that attaches there, which is awesome. So as far as the figure itself, Jango, he's got his head is on a ball this time, fully detailed, can move back and forth, can go up and down. His viewfinder can't go down. It's not a working viewfinder. It sits on top there, but there's some nice weathering on that helmet there. You can see side to side. Now, it's a removable helmet too, so we get spoiled. We get a full version of Jango. We can take that helmet off, and we can see what Jango looks like underneath. With his head on a ball, let's bring him up close just so you can see. Now, of course, we've come a long way nowadays with the action figures, but that was night and day different from anything that we had at the time, and it was nice that you could fit the helmet over and not change any aesthetic or proportions on his head. It actually fits really well. The head is a little bit small and without the helmet on, but nonetheless, it still looks really good. So as far as articulation, he does have a ball here at the elbow, at the shoulder, so you can move his arm all the way up. Okay, he does have it at the elbow as well. So as far as articulation, he does have a ball here all the way at the elbow where you can go all the way up. You can bring his arm out. You can pose him in any way that you couldn't do before. Same thing with the elbow. You can move his arm back and forth there. He does have part of his gauntlet attached with wiring here. It doesn't really get in the way. There's some flex to it. So you can move that side to side. You can turn him at the wrist here as well. Not at the front, but at the wrist where the gauntlet is there. So the articulation is there. Same thing on the other side, exactly the same thing. And of course, he's got his rocket there, sculpted on his arm, and same kind of articulation on that guy there. As far as the waist here, it's on a ball as well. You can go side to side. You can go back and forth a little bit on this action figure. He does have a nice working belt with a holster. It's a separate piece. You can see it's not connected. He does have his blasters in there. It's the standard stuff that we've seen. But the sculpting on the pockets of the holster are really awesome. They look leather. So it's a nice sculpt on there. He definitely looks like a cowboy with his holsters in there. And of course we move on down to the legs here, and you can move his legs, bend them up. You can bend them at the knees, okay? And then he's got articulation finally at the ankles as well. So you got a lot you can do with this guy. And of course you can turn side to side. You can turn him at the foot as well. So full articulation on Jango in the Evolution set. Underneath you can see he's got his foot pegs. Okay, so that's what he looks like from the front. That's what he looks like from the side. And then that's what he looks like from the back. And you can see he's got his jetpack on, but he's very, very purpley. So he's the purple monster, Jango Fett. And of course that jetpack is removable too. Has a peg here on the back, and you can see the detail on this guy close up as well there. It doesn't have any way to attach any attachments there to make it look like he's flying, but it's definitely a nice sculpt, and it just fits right onto his back. So that's the Jango Fett from the Evolution set. Let's just put his helmet back on, take one more look at him with the helmet on as well. So we'd also get another version of Jango Fett, this time in 2007. As part of the anniversary collection. This was a bounty hunter version of Jango, and he came with a poncho. So that's this one over here. Now I actually used to have an open version of him and sold them and kept my carded version because he came out two ways. He came out with a stand, a Jango Fett stand. A lot of figures came with stands, and he also came with a coin, one of the collectible coins. And the first one that I bought came with a stand. And then I eventually found the one with the coin. And of course, I have the coin album, so I wanted to have the one with the coin. So I kept that one carded. And just for this review, I actually opened that one up because I wanted to show you the figure, just because he's such a unique figure and worth reviewing. So here's the card back that he came with. You can see the coin would sit in this area here. And it's such a nice drawing there of Jango Fett. And a lot of these figures, the drawing, the art on them is so awesome. You love to see these guys carded, and they're designed like works of art, right? So let's turn around to the back just to see what his figure looks like here on the back. Jango Fett, he's got a character profile, and you can see some of the other figures that were available at the time in the line as well. A nice little bio for him there, and there he is with his poncho, and there he is talking to Obi-Wan from the movie. So as far as the figure himself, you can see he's got nice cloth goods sitting over him here. He does have his two blasters in hand, but you'll notice the blasters aren't silver. They're painted a gray, and I wonder if that's because they put a lot of tooling into this figure and they had to cut costs in some areas. Now, as far as the helmet, side to side, it's on a ball. You can go side to side, you can go up and down. You can't bring the viewfinder down, and it's definitely fixed in that position there. The helmet is removable, so we can take that off and see what that looks like as well. And it's a soft, rubbery plastic. And then as far as Jango, it's pretty much the same head as the Evolutions. Jango Fett. He definitely looks like a young Tamora Morrison. He does have his soft goods here, just like he had in the movie at one point. Articulation-wise at the arms, we'll look at that in a second, but that's what he looks like with the poncho on. And that's what he looks like with the poncho on from the side. And then, of course, from the back, and you can see that he's got the poncho on and the jetpack there. And if I take that jetpack off, it's not as purpley as that previous one was. Still not the correct color for Jango, but still a nice jetpack. It's exactly the same one as we had in the previous set, the Evolution set. And you can see there's a little hole in the back of the poncho, and it goes right over through to the back of his, to attach the jetpack to his back, just on the back there. So that's what he looks like with his poncho on. So here's Jango with the poncho off. And so you can see he's still fully detailed underneath as well. And I took his two pistol blasters and I stuck them in the working holster that he has. And that holster is basically almost the same as the one that came with the Evolution set. But the belt part here is a little bit different. And I think it's because of the poncho, to have it sit on a little smoother and not stick out to make him look too fat. Because if I bring this guy forward, you'll notice that the belt part of the holster here is a different sculpture, particular here. This one sticks out a little further, whereas that one's flatter on the end, if you can kind of see that there. So that's slightly different from the Evolution set Jango Fett. So he does have that holster. This one here, unlike the Evolutions one, does have straps that come around his legs, so you can't really do much on his legs there because it's getting in the way with the holsters. Now, it looks more realistic. They're not sticking out, but it's definitely more difficult to sculpt them. You can see Jango's got some extra added armor on here, which made this figure really neat because it's almost like a deluxe figure. You can take off this chest piece over here. If you take the head off the ball, that part comes right off. You can slide it off. It's got little slits on the side. Just take that off to show you what that looks like. Okay, let's get his head back on there. And now you can do that whole scene where he first met Obi-Wan. It's a completely different figure. You're not able to do that with the other Jango Fett, and now you have a brand new one over here that you can. And you can see articulation-wise, his head is on a ball. Of course, he does have the ball there at the shoulder as well. So you can go all the way around. You can swivel it all the way around. He does have it at the elbow too. Okay, now as far as his articulation at the wrist there, it also happens close to the elbow here. This piece does come off, okay? Not intended to, but you can make him like Captain Hook. That does come off. So as far as articulation down at the waist there, side to side, it's not on a ball like the Evolutions one, so it's definitely a different sculpt. You can't really move him back and forth because of that strapping from his holster. It's stopping you from doing anything there. And then he does have articulation at the knee. And then he does have articulation here at the ankle as well. And of course, you can turn him side to side, and that's the same for both sides. Now, he does have some extra armor piece on here as well that is removable, and that's on the knee part. We can take that off. Let's just see if I can do that without too much difficulty. So it's clipped on there well, so it stays on. But it does come off as well, so you can see it's painted nicely. And you can see he's just got his straight pant leg there. Let's do that for the other side as well, just so we get a good idea of what Jango looks like in armorless form. So you can see it's a brand new sculpt. Proportion-wise, he's really good, the character. I love this figure. This figure is so unique compared to the other one. You can dress him up as Jango Fett or dress him down as Tamora Morrison when he was Boba's dad. So that's what he looks like from the front. Of course, underneath here, he's got his foot pegs, and you turn him to the side. That's what Jango looks like from the side. And then, of course, from the back, and he's got his little peg there for the jetpack. And we can try putting the jetpack on from the back there. I think it just look a little bit weird having it without the rest of his armor on, but that's what he looked like if you wanted to have him displayed without the armor on, just the jetpack. So that's our anniversary collection, Jango Fett with poncho. So we fast forward a number of years, and in 2010, Hasbro announces that they're going to introduce and release the Vintage Collection. And soon after doing so, they also announced that they're going to release prequel trilogy characters on vintage card backs for the first time, with the logos to look just like the original trilogy movies do. And Jango Fett, of course, was one of them. He came out in 2011. I have him on card back over here. Let's bring him forward. Now, this is the ultimate version of Jango Fett that we have to date. You can see that they've picked a perfect picture of him in the movie there when he was fighting Obi-Wan on Camino in front of the Slave One. A nice Attack of the Clones logo for the first time, so we can see it there. And there he is with the Kenner logo there on the front. Now, if you see in packaging here, Jango comes with a lot of accessories, so you can reenact a lot of different scenes from the movie here. So that's what he looks like on the front of the card back. We'll turn that around. We can see that he's VC number 34, and there he is in his original debut in 2002 as part of the previews line. There's a few other characters that came out as well at the same time as Jango Fett. So that's what he looks like on card back. We're going to look at him loose as well. Let's put that back. So Jango Fett Ultimate Version, here we go. So he's basically, like we said, a reimagining of that Evolutions Jango Fett, this time with new wrist gauntlets, which is what we're going to look at right now. So you can see that we've definitely fixed up the paint job. He's not as purple. We'll bring this guy forward just to show you a side-by-side comparison. Now it looks standout purple, right? This guy over here when you look at him. So Jango's definitely in better color form. He's an amazing sculpt. That original Evolutions one was awesome too. And it's great to see him on card. They've changed the paint job a little bit. This one's a little bit cleaner. It doesn't have the scuffing like the other one does. If you're not a work. So let's take that helmet off to see what Jango looks like underneath. So you can see that he's definitely got a darker skin complexion than the previous one, but a really nice face sculpt for Jango Fett. And Vintage Collection, of course, was top notch when it comes to that. Clean armor, so no scuffing on his armor. It's nice and clean. Articulation wise on this guy, it's exactly the same as that Evolution set. I'm actually going to put his helmet back on because I like to show you that character with the helmet on. Of course, it's on a ball. Just a quick overview there. He does have articulation swivel at the elbows, at the shoulders, in both areas there. And now if we look at the figure itself, we'll notice that he's got different gauntlets than the Evolutions one there. See that? Okay, now let's just bring this guy forward just to show you side by side the gauntlets. See, he doesn't have that. This one over here has these sharp clips or fangs sticking off the side, and that's when he was sliding down the side of that building on Camino, trying to let go of Obi-Wan, who was stuck to his grappling hook. So that's what that is supposed to be envisioning of. And of course, he moves side to side on a ball there, back and forth. And of course, his articulation is just like the Evolutions one, where he can bend his knee. He can move his ankle down as well. You can turn that side to side. And just the paint job's a lot nicer on this guy over here. And of course, the gauntlet on this side, same thing. Brand new, different imagining of that character from the scene specific. So that's what Jango looks like from the side. And then that's what he looks like from the back. Now, if you remember, that figure that we got in the Evolution set has the opposite jetpack. So let's just bring this guy forward to show you side by side. He has the jetpack that he was wearing later on in the movie when he was on Geonesis. And this one's got the original one that he had when he fought Obi-Wan on Camino. And as a result of that, it does have a nice little feature here where you can pull the rocket out and the rocket can blast off. See the nice little blast off effect on the back of the rocket there, and that slips right into the jetpack. So we'll just take that off to have a look at it. Okay, so it's got a peg. It just sits on the back of Jango, and it's fully painted. And then it's got that nice little rocket feature that comes in, and it clips in there pretty good. It goes right in, and then if you push it right here at the bottom, it stays in nicely, so it doesn't pop out on you. So it's a nice little added feature. Awesome action figure, best version of Jango that we have to date. So that's Jango, what it looks like from the back with the rocket on. Let's just take one more look at him. So that is our Vintage Collection release of Jango Fett. So I just wanted to quickly mention that we would get one more version of Jango, this time in 2013. Nowhere near the ultimate version like we got for the Vintage Collection one from Attack of the Clones. This one was a mission series, 2-pack Jango and Battle Droid. So once Disney took over, we somehow got these dumbed down versions of action figures, and we had this ultimate version of Jango, then we got this one in a 2-pack. And I guess, it was geared more for new people that were introduced to the hobby to give them a better price point, but definitely worth mentioning. We'll throw a picture up just because it was a different action figure of Jango Fett. Now, we jump to 2016, and of course we get a Black Series version of Jango Fett. So it wouldn't be right if we didn't talk about that guy as well. Let's bring him forward. So we get another reimagining of Jango, this time in 6-inch form. I love this figure. It's a really nice action figure. He's got nice weathering. He's got nice shine to him. Nice silvery shine. You can see the way it shines with the light on it there now. Full articulation on this guy here. So he does have his head on a ball that goes back and forth. He doesn't have a movable viewfinder that is fixed on his head, which is a little bit disappointing considering the size of this figure. He does have articulation there at the shoulder, so ball at the shoulder. You can move his arm any which way you want. Of course, he does have it at the elbow as well there, and he does have, the wiring sticking out and giving you enough relief to move that back and forth. He does have blaster in hand. Let's just have a look at that momentarily. You'll see that the blaster is an even better version of Jango's blaster, movie accurate. It's got a different painted handle there on the front as well. And then you can see it all the way to the tip. Nice sculpting on that. So that's blaster for Jango. Let's put that back in his hand if we can. Okay, it sits in there nicely. He can move at the waist back and forth, up and down slightly. He does have some nice weathering there. Okay. He does have his belt and holsters and they are attached to the legs, so it kind of stops how much you can move the leg, but it is a softer rubber. You can move them a little bit. And of course, his legs are on a ball there right at the hip, so you can move them back and forth. There is a slit there. You can turn them side to side as well. And of course, he's got articulation at the knee as well, so you can go fully bending the knee on this guy. And then of course at the ankle as well, and you can see his boots are nicely painted. And he's got rocker ankles considering it's a 2016 figure, which is awesome for Jango Fett. So full articulation there. So that's what Jango looks like from the front. Okay. Now working holster, let's just slip that in there to show you what that looks like too. So there's the gun in the holster. As far as underneath, he does have foot pegs. Now we still haven't gotten perfect stands for these guys. It's a little more difficult, so it's hard to stand them at times if you don't have proper stands. From the side, he looks like that. Okay, and then from the back, there he is. And then of course he has that jetpack on from when he was on Camino. When he left Camino and he was on Geonosis fighting Obi-Wan, Mace Windu. So that's the jetpack there, and that does come off as well. It is removable. We'll look at that up close as well so you can see it in detail. It doesn't have anything that's removable on it, but it's a nice painted, most realistic jetpack that we have on Jango to date. And that just slips right back on there. Now Jango does have a removable helmet as well. So you have that feature here that comes right off the head. Not the greatest head sculpt, but still. Normally you have it with the helmet on. So that's Jango with the helmet off. And side to side. So it looks a little bit like Temuera Morrison if you bring it close. But, you know, with those painted eyebrows, there's a little bit more to be desired on the figure. But for 2016 to finally get a Mandalorian version of a Black Series figure with super articulation, it was great to have. There was a Boba Fett, but the Jango stomped it out of the park. Still a favorite of mine. That helmet's a nice, you know, harder plastic, and it sits on his head very well, and doesn't come off very easily too, which is good. So that's the Jango Fett that we got part of the Black Series. He would get re-released again in 2020 as part of the Gaming Greats line. So I have that one too. I'm going to show you that. That's this guy over here. And he's got a slightly different paint job. I know I have him in package here. I did take him out of package. I will, just to show you what's different about him, but that's the packaging that he came in for the Gaming Greats line. And then, you know, not much there on the back except a little bio for Jango. And this is from the Bounty Hunter video game. So here we have out of package the Gaming Greats Jango Fett. So you can see he's almost identical to the original Black Series one from 2016, except he doesn't have a weathered look. He's got more of a clean look to resemble the Jango that we saw in the video game. So I'll just put them side by side just to show you. So you can see he's basically identical figure, just without the weathering. Okay, he's a little more purple on this figure here. And the helmet is slightly different. So it's a slightly different sculpt on the helmet. And we'll have a look at his face sculpt to see if it's any better. So that's what he looks like from the front. That's what he looks like from the side. Okay, and then from the back, and you'll notice that Jango here has got a brand new jetpack. It's one of the reasons why I really wanted this one. It's completely different from the other one. This is the one that he had when he fought Obi-Wan with the rocket on it. So let's just take off that jetpack and have a look at it. And of course, this is just a painted Boba Fett jetpack, but that's what he had in the movie as well. As far as the missile here, it does not come out. Okay, it does have little pegs here on the bottom where you can put fire effects if you have from your other figures. That slips in there, and you can't really turn the rocket thrusters here back and forth. They're fixed, which is disappointing. That'd be nice to have that option. But it's nice to have the different jetpack for Jango. We can slip that right on his back there. And let's take his helmet off and see how much we've improved with the face sculpt. So you can see the face / head sculpt is a lot better here than the previous Jango. It looks a lot more like Temuera Morrison and doesn't have those really oddly painted eyebrows. Let's just put them side by side to show you what I'm talking about. Head to head, so you can see. You be the judge which one you like better. This one's got more of a glossy look too, but with that real scan technology, and his lips are painted and the eyebrows are not as thick. So that's what Jango looks like as part of the Gaming Greats line. So that's it for Jango Fett. We've looked at all of them. You know, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I love doing these videos. I want to do more. Please like and subscribe, and we'll go from there. Take care. Bye.